Okay, so here's how far I got. Last class period, I think, was this one here. And it was about this tall, which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to leave that right here for now on that surface. I do need to roll out a coil, so I'm just going to move this to the side. And we'll just continue on our merry way for my second day working on these coil pots. And our goal is 10 inches tall. So let's start with a coil. And roll out a coil that's about 1/4 of an inch thick.
Is this for the people at home?
Yep. And it's for you guys, so people at home can kind of follow along and know how far I'm going. But this will also kind of give you a guide about how quick I'm working, when the expectation is to be done, those sorts of things. Some of you will work a little bit quicker, some of you will work a little slower, but it kind of gives at least me an idea for pacing as well, on how long to spend on it before we go on to our next cool dude assignment.
I want to get a 3D printer. Is that as expensive?
So there's my snake.
Like $1,000, a very good one, but like only like
Bring this guy back on, huh? A little bit of water. And this stayed, it firmed up a little bit, but it's pretty darn good as far as things go. And so I'm just set this one just right on top. Slightly to the outside because we are going to the outside. And then squishy, squishy, squishy. I wanted this to breathe a little bit more. It's all poofy on me here. Oh, that's much better. I feel better now. I can breathe. And then once again, for blending on this one, using the spoon side of the wooden knife tool, just blend those across. And as you get a little bit better on these ones, it goes a little faster. So I'll probably do probably 2 coils blending the inside, and then put on then blend the outside. Remember, mine has just the blended coils on both sides on what we're doing with that. So that's kind of a deal. Move this to the side so I can roll out another coil. And get her going. Usually I try to make sure I coil up at least a couple inches, 3 or 4 inches in height per day is usually a pretty good time. I know sometimes though you're coiling, you make lots of progress, then other times you're down and you do you only make it, a couple there because you're glazing or you're doing some other project or something like that. That's kind of a deal. And let's go ahead and blend this one on. Support it on the outside always.
I don't know anyone. I don't remember getting
There we go.
I did not hear that.
Now I'm just going to do a preliminary smoothing on this one. Just to get off the big bumps. And so we can use the rib tool in just a second. Also, I want to check on the side, make sure we're going okay here. So as I put this in, looks like we're okay. Looks like it could actually go a little wider. So I'm going to take this out and stretch it out just a little bit more. And like that. Gonna smooth out the inside with the rib tool now a little bit. That will also stretch things out. There we go. Now we're going to do a little more pulling up on it. That makes it a little bit smoother. I can use a broader stroke with the whole long side of the rib tool on some of those. That works out really, really well. Okay, that's pretty good there. Now I'm going to do some of, I've got the, to blend the outside now as well. And I'm just going to go through here and just pull those across the seam. Like that. So that you get those outside blended as well. And just make sure your seams are getting good and blended. I'm going to set this down for a second. Plastic was kind of getting in my way. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to come back with the straight side of the rib tool and blend those around. Now once again, this is if you want the outside blended. If you don't want the outside blended, you don't have to do this particular step. But I didn't have enough examples of blended coil pots. And so that's pulling those across, smoothing out the seams. Getting a few extra scrapers there. Like I said before, I'm showing you the side view of this one so you can kind of see what's happening with the blending on the coils. You don't have to turn it on its side like this. In fact, a lot of times it's easier if you have it set this way and then you're just using your rib tool like this helps keep its form a little bit more when you're shaping it. Anyway, so there's that piece blended. Let's check on the side. Looks like I'm pretty darn close on that. This could probably go just a little wider, so I'm going to take and I'm going to pull it and pinch it out just a little wider so that I can follow my example. Okay, that's pretty good. So, what do we need? We need more coils. Let's get at least another couple in there. I'll move this off to the side for a second, because I need the space. So there's a good coil. Bring this guy back in. A little water on the edge. Put down the coil. Just on the outside. So it's still going out on my design. Now you don't necessarily have to have a template. I'm using a template just because sometimes that's helpful as a guide. Okay. Back to my little spoon tool here. Blended them across the seams. Support on the opposite side of where you're blending.
Elvis Presley song. What does Elvis? It's been quiet lately. What? Throw it against the sky. When are they going to drop out?
Blend them together. And just blending the outside again. That's a rough blend on that layer. I'm going to put in another layer. I guess I like putting two coils in for my rough layer and then blending it smooth. That seems to be working pretty good for me. If you get extra clay on your table, just scoop it to the side and then roll them out. Now as it gets wider, we're going to need more and more lengths of coil, obviously, on those. Bring this back in, a little bit of water. Now you do want to make sure that you have it blended and smooth together on by the end of the day on that one. If you let the exposed coils sit overnight, a lot of times they'll become a little bit harder and they're more difficult to blend together. Okay. Let's go ahead and blend the inside here. Support the outside as you blend. This is just smoothing it out just a little bit more so it's not as many rough spots to blend across. I think maybe so for this one. So that's mostly just about 2 coils high on this application. That's about a half an inch or so to 3/4 of an inch. Make sure it gets squished on there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's fairly good. Get my rib tool here. Now that it's further up here like this, you can kind of see I don't have to go all the way down the bottom when smoothing it, and it makes it go just a little bit quicker. Remember, pulling up and diagonal is a good way for smoothing things out. So just make sure at the end of the day when you're working on this that whatever you've joined has been initially blended with your wooden knife tool and then smoothed out with the rib tool. You can do minor adjustments after that, but you want the most of it to be done so that you can have that smoother edge.
You were talking about going to the door too. It's quite much of the door. Which one did you vote?
The thing about your coil pots is they do take some time, but that's okay. I'm not in any hurry.
The what? I was gonna, I voted for this, but then the second choice is to move to, I didn't look at oncology because,
And once again, I'm looking to kind of at a side angle like this so I can see what it looks like that I'm smoothing out on this one. Not bending over just because I got a crick in my neck or something. I'm actually looking to make sure these sides are smoothly blended so the curve is coming up at a smooth curve. Okay, I'm almost around back to the beginning, huh?
yeah, but if you're on like a multiplayer board.
Okay, so here's what we have looking on the outside that I'm looking at. And then this is where we are there, so that's come along pretty good. Looks like I could poof it out just a little bit more in through here. So I'm just going to come back in here and use my rib tool to round that out a little bit more.
Why don't you see that? Some of the other things to ward off on. I mean, dogs, they're other things to ward off on. Yeah. And then,
So now, there we go. That's pretty good, huh? That's come along nicely. Let's put on another layer. I think I got enough time for another layer here. On this next one here, probably for today is going to be the last time I'm going to record just the full length because it's just watching me build that up. That's pretty cool, huh? One more layer and I'll call it quits for the day. And then I total height so far, this is about 4 inches tall, so I'm doing pretty good. So I'm about halfway there, almost. 10 inches, I need 5 inches for halfway there. This should give me an idea about how long it takes to work on this project. I should be able to get 5 inches tall by the end of today pretty easily. That means it's going to be about a 4-day construction project. That sounds about right.
I'd like to see,
Just on the outside. I'm just going to push down like this with my thumb to help that blending process. Generally, that's what you do with a lot of them too. If you're doing a sculpture project, a lot of times you can make your preliminary blends just by pushing the coils down.
I think they're working too far.
That does provide the pressure that you need. You can kind of also kind of shape it at the same time. It does put a little bit of pressure on that outside edge. From there, if that, all that does is facilitate this, makes this go a little bit quicker. But it takes a little longer, so I don't know. Are we ahead or are we not ahead on that one?
I like the wood force because you want to pull underneath the building. I don't know more good than that, like that. Force is miserable. Well, yeah, that's but only 2 elements fall in the overall world, and in other bonds, only 2 elements fall in the other. But
You just want to make sure that seam disappears.
And then a bunch of bonds. So.
Let's get the outside as well. So the goal today is 5 inches tall.
What is like the natural haircut everyone has, like a natural? Shave down, yeah, not like it's
There's that guy. Oh, this is going to be the last little bit of clay in my bag. That'll be cool. It's a big piece of clay. I'm going to need more clay. I got plenty. Okay. This is going to be a monster coil.
And you're making your, like, the coils or whatever.
This is going to be a long snake. Long snake. Okay, let's bring this back on. Right. blending.
You know, the church shift magnet, there's some people who are like, yeah, let's try to shift magnet. Do you think like kidnappers call themselves like shift vacuums? Because, you know, vacuum sports stuff, you know, they're like, sure, don't think, or else. But, you know, that magnet, you know, the way magnets work, it's like, they're like, hey, we both want to go there. Is the track the same for both? Is it opposite the track? Shift vacuum. So every now and then I finish my quote unquote profession in like Instagram balance. And one of my most favorite recent ones was serial killer. Medicine. Now it's professional. I'm more of a fan of serial killers. But if I'm thinking about that, you know.
Let's get the outside now.
Remember like when COVID first started and it was a crazy thing? Now we don't care. Yeah. I mean, you don't need one now. Geez, well, that's really for level. I mean, I like quarantine sort of. Well, listen, on the first day of quarantine, I was like, you know what, I'm going to build a fort. So I did and I'm talking like 2 years to that board. And it became a solid idea to what, and now I'm actually, and I don't have a plan anymore. But what I did is I ripped out the deck, put under a lock, right? I have a lock deck. Then I put a chair there, I put my TV in front of me, and my little bitch still up in it. Next to my little chair, I said, no, I got a sleep pad, set the chair. I don't even sleep on my bed anymore. I haven't slept on my bed in like 3 months now. I don't even remember what a bed feels like. It's still weird. I don't, you know, I tried to feel my bed.
Okay, there we go. That's blended that way.
It's getting nightmares, man. I can't sleep on my bed.
Clean that off. Let's blend the inside.
I'm a living my life. Like sometimes I sit down and I'm like, oh my God, I live my life so much. It's the kind of mindset you gotta get.
We've been going for about 30 minutes, a little bit plus on that for
Say that if you've
blending
got problems
and stacking.
or you're not appreciative of what's around you. Okay.
Let's do the outside.
I like drawing weird guys, like you see people who do. Don't give them all long names. That's Jeff. Like, no, it's so good. Like, Richard Harvey Jr. Something like that. I think one of those, I mean, like me and my business friend was Jazz King, where you would like draw these people and they just compete against each other. And I do this like guy who had like one eye, then his head had like little twinkles coming out of it. And then I named him Tyrone imagine in here when you're fighting the dog, instead of just doing something like not screwing, something like guessing to this is understand why people not have no names, but not stage is difficult. What if Godzilla was named Jerry Lewis? Like, that'd be pretty scary. Stop someone like, shoot, he's so proud. Ryan's such a slut. Yeah, what if he is just very clumsy? Here's a son of wood. Very low.
Okay. So that is pretty good for today. That is about 5 inches tall. And I said about 2.5 inches a day will get us there in 4 days. That's cool. Do another check here real quick. See how we're doing. Looks like we're doing okay. This actually can start to come in just a little bit more. Had it just a little wider than what it needed to be. Okay, not bad. A little bit more bulge on the bottom here. Stretching that out on the outside. And so that is going to be where we are. Remember, I wanted this just a little oval instead of round, but you could be doing round as well. So I'm trying to keep the basic shape that we're working for. We're about, like I said, we're about halfway. From here, it's going to go probably more straight up rather than out on my next layer. So this is just going to go more straight up from here on those ones. So let's go ahead and get, for me, get these things ready to be put away. Back out to my board. Remember, we wanted a piece of plastic on here like this. I'm going to take this, set it right on there. This one looks like this might just be big enough, so I got to get my paper towel wet. There's my water container right here. So I'm going to wring this out like that, because I just want it to be damp. I don't want it to get super dry. And the bottom part will start to dry out a little bit more, and that's going to give it stability as we work through that. Now I've been working for about a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes. You guys can be working for longer on those. And then the last step that I had, remember, was we take the whole thing and I'm just going to put the plastic on top, wrap it under so that we're ready to go. So that's about halfway done. It's taken me 2 class periods, 2 days to kind of get that far, and that's kind of where we are, right about the 39-minute mark for work today. That was a lot of work.